Welcome inside the locker room on a Monday morning. Yes, Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life, we love sports as well. You already know every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 8:15 is the time right here on the Smooth Breakfast on Smooth 98.1. You know we love music, we love life. That is most definite. Welcome. That's a great sporting action from over the weekend. And believe me, there's a lot to sink our teeth into this morning, from the world of football to Formula One to tennis. We have it right here for you. Super Eagles to US Open to the Grand Prix in Monza. Hey, don't go anywhere. This is where you need to be. My name is Ayokunmi. Great to have you once again this Monday morning. Join us on WhatsApp 0911 999 0911 That is the WhatsApp number. You can also join us on YouTube. Plant your seat in the front row to get the best of the behind the scenes sporting action. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. All right, joining me this morning for the second week in a row to do justice to the sporting news. Ibitayo Daramola is with me once again. Tayo, very good morning to you. Great to have you on the show once again.
Good morning. Pleasure to be here. And a very, very good weekend. Yeah. Sports-wise, football, thankfully, that wasn't dampened. And of course,
I know what you mean by that.
I mean, it could have been a terrible weekend. It could have been.
Yeah.
I mean,
most definitely.
It's a new week that we have hope. It's a new week we hope, rather than being just hopeless going into the week.
Most definitely. And talking about having hope, well, Nigerians will need to have quite a bit of hope right now, because Galatasaray striker Victor Osimhen has been ruled out of the Super Eagles' crucial 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier against South Africa that comes up tomorrow. He was forced off in the first half of Saturday's 1-0 win over Rwanda in Uyo, and had initially been feared to be struggling with an ankle problem. However, the team doctor later confirmed the injury as a bruise on his shin. First of all, the Eagles got the very much needed 3 points against Rwanda out there in Uyo. Nervy 1-0 win, but 3 points all the same. And one of the unfortunate incidents that happened was the injury to talisman Victor Osimhen there. Tayo, walk us through your thoughts on the game and, of course, the implications of not having Osimhen to tackle South Africa in Bloemfontein tomorrow.
First off, the injury to Osimhen, that looked like he was targeted. It looked that way, and you could see the way the bench for Rwanda, how they celebrated when Osimhen was being taken off. Like it was part of their plan, and that's sad. Unarguably, our best striker. He's the only player on more than one goals. He scored 3 in these qualifiers, despite missing some games in between. Yet he's still the top scorer, scored 3. We will miss him quite a lot. But the last time we didn't have him around, it was against South Africa too. I don't know why I keeps missing the South African game. And we had the likes of, in camp, we had the likes of Terry Murphy, we had Boniface, and leading the lines. And over those 2 games where he missed, we couldn't even do anything. We drew against the South Africans. We lost against Benin Republic. Those games cost us a lot. Those 2 games cost us a lot. But the profile of the attackers we have in camp is different from the ones we had the last time we didn't have Osimhen. We have Tolu Arukodare, who is young and hungry, looking to prove himself, despite his figures are good. 4 games for the Super Eagles, 2 goals scored. So he averages a goal every 2 games, which by us, that when it comes to national team, that is excellent. When it comes to national team, we'll be relying heavily on him. He seems to be the man to pop up with goals now. And it seems to be, when he came in the game against Rwanda, it was very obvious this man was hungry. It was very obvious he was hounding the defenders. Every ball, every high ball, he was first to it. So we have a striker who is also very aggressive, not as aggressive as Osimhen, but also very aggressive. And when the chances presented, can be clinical. And we also have a young budding talent on the bench. Didn't play, Chrysanthus Uche, who just made a move to the Premier League with Crystal Palace. Also, he will be looking to prove a point. And Chukwueze didn't come in. didn't play, didn't come, which is quite a surprise. I think maybe because he came into camp really late after making his move to Fulham, his loan move to Fulham. So, I mean, we have attackers. And some would argue it's a blessing in disguise not having Osimhen, but having these younger and hungrier strikers. Because when we play with Osimhen, true no fault is we always want to give the ball to Osimhen.
Right.
And it looks quite predictable when we play because all ball goes to Osimhen. And true no fault of his, it still makes it work despite being heavily marked and every other thing. But this time around, it looks as if the players up front will have a chance to be 1v1 with their defenders. And I mean, I trust on them to take them on. And I forgot to mention Cyril Dessers, always called up for friendlies, never called up for the major tournament qualifiers. This time around, he's been called up for the qualifiers. He was the one that replaced Osimhen immediately when he was chopped off in the first half. And he had his bit of bites. He had his chances here or there, missed them. He will come good. So I'm happy with the profile of strikers we have, which is unlike what we've had when Osimhen wasn't available. And I think we can make it work. But my fear and worry is, can our midfield hold against the South African midfield? The South African midfield is really, really good. Really, really good. Defensively and offensively, they are excellent. They have been at this tournament. And that's my worry, not the attack. I think the midfield will have a lot of job to do and the defense has to hold.
Middle has a job to do and the defense has to hold. Tayo, before we leave the Super Eagles, just want to ask something based off something you said not so long ago. You said, looking at the fact that we have a lot of firepower in attack. Now, it just brings up the question. We have the firepower and everything, but do we actually have a team? Because you can have all the individuals, but if you don't have a team, there's a problem. Do we have a team? Does it seem like we have a team?
Honestly, no. Honestly, no. We watched the game against Rwanda. We struggled. Yes, we won. It was all about the results. Yes, we won, but no one can tell me here that he watched that game comfortably. No one can say that. We were edge of our seats for 90 minutes, and until the referee blew the final whistle, we were nervy because we couldn't control the game. You sometimes when you play a team that's a lesser opposition, you ought to let the lesser opposition know you are the big boy. You starve them of the ball. Part of that is starving them of the ball, scoring them as early as possible, and so they will be worried about not conceding more rather than attacking you. That wasn't the case against Rwanda. We lost the ball a couple of times. There were some times when they sojourned forward and we went. We were very, very nervy. Set piece, we were not excellent defensively. We can get better. It's weird when you are playing the World Cup qualifier, you're supposed to have a team. And then game in, game out, the set of boys that will play, the sort of boys that will be invited. But this is as a result of having 3 coaches so far take us through this World Cup qualifiers, and each coach bringing his preference into the national team, each coach coming and tweaking the formation. And so the team is not, we can't have a team because the players are not settled. The players might come in today and who partnered you in central defense this week might not partner you next week. So it's a different ballgame. You can't have a settled team. And that's what we are suffering from. Last time around against South Africa, it was Finidi George in charge. Ted Murphy up front. This time around, it might be Ayokunmi, it might be Cyril Dessers. You get, so you can have a balanced team. A coach can have, and we can't. The Super Eagles can't be. What we say when we Super Eagles, when we used to enjoy them, you could name the first 11 without batting an eyelid, unless there was an injury to one person. You could name a starting 11. Worst case scenario, you could name the start at least 8 of the starting 11. With this Super Eagles, you could. Osimhen, yes.
Nwabali, perhaps, yeah.
Osimhen, Nwabali.
Olaino, perhaps.
Yeah, Olaino and Calvin Bassey. Who else can you name? Can you be assured they would start? And therein lies our problem, and that's why we've not played well, and we just have to take it as it is. Now all we are doing is, if opportunity avails us, grab it and make sure we don't concede. And so the way we played against Rwanda, that we are not happy. If we play the same way and get the same result against South Africa, we'll be happy. But
a win is a win.
Yeah, ultimately we need to start playing as a team. We have to be consistent with selection, and the coach has to have a consistent formation and know his second option, third option, so that the team can play as a team, like you asked.
All right. Thank you for that, Tayo. Let us quickly switch gears to Formula One. Let's just rush through what went on in Monza, because it seems like the fight between McLaren's Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri just refuses to get nasty. Even when the team find themselves embroiled in controversies of their own making. It was Max Verstappen up front, Norris following, Piastri following, so much going on. But very quickly, let us just run through what happened in Monza, Tayo.
I mean, Monza was uneventful. I mean, we all thought Monza was going to be, I mean, one that everybody would feel that they have a fair chance. The Ferraris usually do well in Monza too because it's their home Grand Prix. The Ferraris from Italy, but the qualifiers, it looked as if it was set in stone. Monza is a very, very, very fast track, and that helps the likes of Red Bulls. It helps the Red Bulls, and it was no surprise that Max got pole the qualifiers and looked undisturbed. But the first two rounds, I mean, it looked undisturbed throughout the race. I mean, the only event that happened was the McLarens themselves. I mean, they saw that they couldn't match the pace of the Red Bulls, so they thought, okay, let's beat our time. Let's not pit early. Let's wait. In these races, you never can predict. Maybe there will be an accident here or there. It's not that they're wishing on an accident, but it's part of the race. It's part of the strategy. You hope for one. You hope for something to happen. Then a virtual car comes in, which slows everybody down. You can now pit, change tires quickly, gain that advantage, and you can probably have hope of overtaking Verstappen. And so that was what they were hoping on, and that's why they pitted really, really, really late. And, I've said it time and time here. They told the drivers, we are always going to favor the one in the lead. Norris was in the lead, and logic states that whoever is in the lead pits first. That's the norm in Formula One if you watch Formula One. But surprisingly, they pitted Piastri first. And I mean, because they pitted Piastri first, and pit stop for Piastri was really, really smooth. 1.9 seconds in and out. Typical pit stop. And then they pitted Norris next. And then they had issue while trying to change tires and every other thing. So it was 4 seconds later than. And so ideally a pit stop should not be a reason for you to change team orders. Because when they told Norris they wanted to pit Piastri, Norris asked, was he not going to undercut him? And they said, no, he wasn't going to undercut him. But because the pit stop for Norris was a bit slower, and he ended up being Piastri ended up undercutting him and going ahead of him. And so when he came out of the pits lane, he was third place. And so they knew that they had wronged. Piastri did nothing wrong. But it was while doing the pit stop that something came up. And so they had to ask Piastri that, could you please let Lando pass you? And Piastri, I mean, he voiced his complaints about it, saying, I mean, he did nothing wrong, but he allowed him. Right, because if you go back last season, it happened in the Hungarian Grand Prix, something similar. And something similar happened in the Hungarian Grand Prix. And Norris was asked to slow down to let Piastri pass. And Norris eventually slowed down, but it took him a long while to slow down. But, McLaren, they will handle themselves. They will finish 1-2. But in what order? We don't know yet. But the team orders have to be obeyed. And these two drivers are following orders.
Most definitely. It's going to be interesting to see which of the two of them will come up tops at the end of the season. Let's take our first break of the morning. When we come back in, it's all about the US Open as Carlos Alcaraz beats Jannik Sinner to win the tournament and reclaim the #1 spot. Okay, almost a 3-minute break. So we'll just
okay.
Yeah, so okay. we'll just run through.
Yeah, chop.
Talk about the US Open, then enter football. the European qualifiers and whatnot. What what happened to Turkey? I wasn't expecting that.
No, I expected Spain to win, but not that margin.
Exactly.
The Turkish have a very, very solid team.
I mean, and at home again,
it was crazy. I was bashing. I mean, it capitulated.
2026 is going to be very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, they should still qualify. I mean, Europe, they don't use Euro to plenty, man. I don't know how fair it is. Forget whatever people say when they say, because they play the best round of. Yeah, they do. But I think each continent should get the same number of slots. That's 54 nations in Africa. We are only fighting for 5 slots. Maybe in Europe, you pack everybody and bring to the World Cup. In South America, only 2 countries will not qualify for the World Cup in South America as well.
Yeah, that's true. There are 10. There are 10
Yeah,
there.
8 is qualifying. So
okay, 8 will qualify, and then I think 1 will play a playoff or something.
No, 7 automatic. 7 automatic. Okay. One intercontinental.
Okay. 7. Okay, 7. Okay.
So percentage-wise, if you look at it, Africa and Asia is being ripped off as always. As always, man. And that's why in some groups in Europe, there are only 4 teams in the group, and they still have the team finishing going to play playoffs. Crazy.
Yeah, some groups 4, some groups 5.
It's real. I mean, let's have fairness in these things.
I mean, looking at some of these groups now, bottom teams: Luxembourg, 2 games, 0 points; Kosovo, 1 game, 0 points; Belarus, 1 game, 0 points; Azerbaijan, 1 game as well, 0 points. Then Bulgaria, I don't know, this one just fell off, gone. 2 games, 0 points. Armenia, 1 game, 0 points. Malta, 5 games, 2 points. San Marino, those ones are normal now. 5 games, 0 points. Only 1 goal scored as well. So a lot of these bottom teams in Europe are, well, they are bad.
Yeah, once they don't put them in your group for you to get points. Once you see them, home and away, 6 points secured.
But I'm not sure that if Nigeria is one of those groups that you collect points from them more, with the way we are playing, I don't know.
We just make things difficult for ourselves. I mean, sometimes I think it's because we don't like it.
Welcome back into the locker room. It's a Monday morning here on Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life, love sports as well. Ayokunmi right here with you. Alongside me is Ibitayo Daramola. We are taking a look at sporting action from over the weekend, and trust me, as they say out there, choke. A lot of great sporting action over the weekend, and you get to share the spotlight with us as well. So please do send your messages in on WhatsApp, 0911 0981 Also, leave your comments on YouTube. Yes, we are streaming live as we always do at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Pagripayo and Uchenna Nwokwe. I see the both of you. Welcome once again. All right, so let's talk about what went down in the US Open. Carlos Alcaraz, yes, he beat Yannick Sinner in 4 sets on Sunday to win the US Open and reassert his dominance of an era-defining rivalry in the final delayed by the visit of President Donald Trump, who is surprised by that one. His 6th Grand Slam title. He's 22. Tayo, as we've spoken about severally in men's tennis, those two are not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yep. You still see them. I mean, 4 slams this year, done and dusted. They faced off in the finals of 3. That tells you everything you need to know about this duo. They've been excellent. and not just come in and be flash in the pan like we've had over the years. They've been consistent. I mean, the big tournaments, you see them in the finals facing up against each other. They know themselves in and out. So, I mean, because of that, every time they play, it's something different because each one is trying to counter to the other one's strengths. And so they keep adjusting and gets better and better. Tennis is fun to watch. This time around, I mean, it was Alcaraz's turn, and which was no surprise. From the start of the tournament till the end, we know he deserved it. We talked so much about Sinner not being 100% fit. And that will be a worry because you have to be 100% to face off against Alcaraz. And so the result was expected for, I think, majority of the people, except for those rooting for Sinner. But what a game. What a player we have in Alcaraz. 6 slams. He's won twice now at the US Open. He's won twice. Wimbledon. He's won twice at the French Open. The only one missing to complete a career Grand Slam, of course, is the Australian Open, which Alcaraz Sinner seemed to have figured out that Australian Open. But he'll be looking to that and thinking to himself, look, I need to first complete my career slam. That would be where his eyes are. But for Sinner says, I mean, he's going to be looking to adjust his predictability. He looked predictable, and it looked as if Alcaraz anticipated every stroke before Sinner even played it. And so he's going to be looking to adjust that. I'm already looking forward to that, to see him change. And those guys are perfectionists. And when they see a flaw in their game, they work on it to get better. So we as fans, we are blessed to see another generation coming through who look likely that they might eclipse even Djokovic's all Grand Slam. Because if it's only these two getting to the finals, then obviously it's sooner rather than later.
Most definitely. And I mean, just to buttress the point, both men have won 8 of the last Grand Slams on offer. They shed it 4 apiece. That is saying something. And just quickly on the women's side, Aryna Sabalenka finally, after losing in the first 3 Grand Slams of the year, she finally got her hands on silverware, beating Amanda Anisimova.
Yep, revenge. Yeah, revenge seems to be the theme of the women's game this time around. Everybody coming back from somebody defeating you at the point in time. Wimbledon semi-finals, of course, and Anisimova kicked out Sabalenka. Sabalenka, I mean, she was focused. I'm sure in the back of her mind, she's saying, not another American, not another American. She kept telling herself that. And thankfully, not another American. Sabalenka looks to be the most consistent now of the women. This year, she has been world number 1, but getting to she didn't want to lose all 3 finals this year. Final of the Australian Open lost, final of the French Open lost, Wimbledon semi-final lost, and then another final. It would have been a disastrous year despite finishing world number 1. But
definitely,
she had the game, and I'm really, really happy for her. Not a big fan of hers, but so I just need a bit of consistency from the women's game, and she looks like the most consistent of them all.
Most definitely, she does. All right, let's get back into the world of football. We'll head into Europe, just to touch on a couple of World Cup qualifiers that came up, some interesting games. But first of all, PSG Paris Saint-Germain on Sunday, they criticized the serious and avoidable injuries suffered by Ousmane Dembele and Desiree Doué while on international duty with the French national team. Both of them were forced off. And the French Football Federation sent a letter requesting better medical and sporting coordination between clubs and the national team as well. I mean, is this more of a French Federation and French thing than a general thing here, Ty? What do you think, very quickly?
Now, it's the age-long argument, club side and international teams. It would never stop. I mean, that was why FIFA proposed insurance. FIFA pays every club when your player gets injured on international duty. That's done. I mean, part of the result from the age-long fight, and it will continue. We'll keep adjusting. Fact remains that these are 2 key players for Paris Saint-Germain. Champions League and starts and every other thing. Dembele, of course, the talisman, Doué, the youngster coming through. Their argument is that they forwarded their medical and how the workload these boys can handle. They forwarded it to the French national team. It looked as if the French national team didn't follow that. They chose to do their own thing. And now these boys have picked one hamstring, the other one, I think it was calf, something. So one will be missing for 6 weeks, another for 4 weeks. That's a major, major blow for Paris Saint-Germain. And there has to be this synergy between the medics of the national team and the medics of the club side. Because whether you like it or not, the club sides, they know more about these players because they have them more and they do for longer time than the national team medics. The national team medics and, of course, the club side medics need to come together for the sake of the players, especially now that we have so many games. Remember, Paris Saint-Germain also went to the Club World Cup, went all the way to the final of the Champions League while playing the playoffs to get to the Champions League final too. So the number of games on these legs, it's craziest amount of games. And so the national team have to adjust for that. They need to learn how to adjust for that. So we'll keep discussing. I mean, when I say we, I mean the medics, not of course, not me.
Of course.
They'll keep discussing because ultimately it's the health of the players what's paramount. And I understand why PSG has lashed out. Maybe this will cause another round of talks that will better the health of the players, hopefully.
Let's see how that all plays out. All right, let's move on to what went down between Turkey and Spain as Mikel Merino hit a hat-trick as Spain hammered Turkey 6-0 on Sunday to take charge of their 2026 World Cup qualifying group. Now, I knew that Spain most likely would have beaten Turkey, but I did not see them putting 6 past the Turkish team. Wow.
Yeah. Not this Turkish team that looks very, very good. Very, very good side. And then mixed experience with youth, and they play beautiful brand of football. Everybody, I love watching the Turkish. I mean, the last Euros, it was fun for me to watch them. But the Spanish are a better side, well coached. I knew they were going to win, but it would have taken a prophet to see that scoreline. I mean, first off, Turkey not scoring at all, and then
conceding 6.
6. Yeah, among the 6, Yamal didn't even score. He missed a couple of chances, so it could have been worse. I mean, it was just a bad day in the office for Turkey. I think it was a bad day in the office. They'll adjust. They'll look to do better. It's one of those results where you just completely forget about. It's an aberration. It's bad day in the office.
Definitely. A very bad day in the office for them.
Well done to Spain for taking advantage of that. But yeah, I mean, for the Turkish, I don't think they're going to dwell on that. Just look at it and say, look at their past results and look at this game and say, okay, let's just move on.
Right. Bad day at the office. Let's move on and let's just try to do better because it's 6-0 hammering. Man, one for the ages. All right, let's talk about another team that bounced back here, and this is Germany, as a stunning free kick from Florian Wirtz helped them overcome a sluggish performance to beat Northern Ireland 3-1 in World Cup qualifying in Cologne on Sunday. We talked about them on Friday where they lost 2-0 to Slovakia, but they came back roaring to win 3-1 and, just kind of reestablished themselves in that group. Very quickly, Tayo.
Yeah, I mean, the game against Northern Ireland wasn't about the Germans getting back to how the Germans play. Rather, it was about just getting the results. Having slumped in the first game. And yes, and the way they played too, it wasn't typical. It wasn't the free-flowing Germans that we've gotten used to under Nagelsmann. Rather, it was about the results. Scored an early goal, conceded. It was a bit nervy for them until second half when they scored a goal and they opened up a 2-goal lead, courtesy of that Florian Wirtz free kick, well-taken free kick, I must mention. But the Germans didn't flow. It wasn't the typical German display, but you can't blame them. They were playing at home in front of a fans who demanded a lot. Their history demands a lot from them. Man, we talked about the last time they lost. We talked about their enviable record in qualifiers, and that loss was a stain on that record. They needed to rectify that loss. So it was all about getting a result against Northern Ireland, which they did. It's back on track. They bounced back on track. Slovakia will be 6 points. They will be 3 points behind them. They think, and I believe they will be able to overall qualify tops in that group. But it's bouncing back first. And Nagelsmann can then start working his magic to that free-flowing football in other subsequent games.
Yes, indeed. Well, I don't expect Germany not to qualify for the World Cup. I don't see that happening. But they say football, anything can happen, but Germany not going to the World Cup is something I don't see happening. I guess
Yeah.
they'll be fine eventually. They will be fine and sort themselves out. All right, let me take your messages. This is Nathan Njoku from Kirikiri Town says, why are Nigerian journalists quiet about CAF not deducting the mandatory 3 points from South Africa for fielding an ineligible player? This should be front and center in all forms of media, even pamphlets. Sound it, please. We will beat South Africa 3-1 tomorrow, so we need those points to be deducted. Make we for know where we do. Make we for know where we do. I mean, well, on one hand, FIFA has to step into that one. On the other hand, the fact that we are here hoping and praying that a team gets deducted 3 points just because we want to stand a chance. And the thing is, them losing the 3 points is not even a guarantee that we will qualify at the end of the day. It makes it a bit easier, makes it a bit more probable, but it's no guarantee. But we need to get to a point where we don't need these sort of quote unquote handouts to be able to qualify for tournaments. We need to get beyond that point. But Nathan, you're a true Nigerian and true Nigerian football fan. You just want to be at the World Cup, whether or whether. So I get where you're coming from. He then says, our style of play is too predictable. Wing play, no idea of creativity. No ball play number 10 to hold the ball and look for those through balls. It will be the try, but he needs help. Did you see what Pedri did against Turkey last night? Adagula looked like a schoolboy in comparison. We need that in the Super Eagles. All right. Tayo says, Tayo greeting, Tayo Declan Rice Daramola, handshake emoji there. Sad news on Osimhen. He didn't sustain an injury in Europe, but the Rwandan hackman can't see better thing. Players go for international football and national teams return them injured. No wonder Wabali wasn't having it, but he should be careful against South Africa. That goal was very scrappy. I'm still not convinced about our performance. We need to overload their midfield. Alcaraz's life is simple. Cut hair, go to church, and win tournaments. No space for Djokovic as Sinner and Alcaraz are now switching top place. Spain cooked turkey, and it was good. That turkey was very flavored, to be honest. And Ewa Nuru says, Pedri was sensational for Spain last night, scoring twice against Turkey. That guy is the best midfielder in the world. Well, I wouldn't say no to that, really and truly. On YouTube, Pedro Payo says, a slim win for the Eagles. We go manage them. Is it not 3 points? We go manage them. Uchenna Okoye says, Alcaraz, what a player. Those two will dominate the game for years to come. Awesome stuff. Niger, please destroy SA and kill their confidence. FIFA, please decide on the points penalty, please. And Philip says, Super Eagles, man, I couldn't watch till second half and seeing the goal, it wasn't even a smooth goal. I didn't see any sense of urgency, but a goal is a goal, I guess. A goal is a goal, whether it's an own goal, whether it's a scrappy, a goal is a goal, and 3 points are 3 points. But anyways,
we'll take a scrappy, Africa, I tell you.
Most definitely. And looking forward to having you once again on the show on Wednesday, Tyre, to take a look at that game and a whole lot more of the locker room. But thank you for joining me this morning. A pleasure.
Hopefully we'll come talk about how we won against South Africa and break it down. Looking forward to Wednesday.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much, Tyre. Have a great Monday as you relax and get started on your week.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you all for being a part of the show as always. Keep it tuned to the locker room at Smooth 98.1. Don't go anywhere because the fun continues. 9 o'clock. It's going to be a conversation on Lagos Talks.